Good evening from Yummy BTV. Wishing you all well today. Sending special love to you all on a gorgeous afternoon here. Just getting ready to go to dinner and getting picked up in a minute. Right, come to my attention this morning. I'm sorry to say, another horrific subject coming up right now. A serial killer, the man in question, COLIN PITCHFORK, right? It has been deemed to be suitable for release back into our communities. A bit of background story to this man who's 60 odd years of age now, served about 33 years in prison for 2 murders of young schoolgirls by strangulation for his own sexual desires, perverting the course of justice, etc. It was the first case, if I remember rightly, of the way that DNA works, where they were going around the whole villages taking samples of people until they got round to him. Now, the reason why I make this video today, not just because simply there's an outcry basically of such a man being released again, not from a mental institution, right? So he's not deemed mentally anything wrong with him, so he's deemed to not pose a risk, and they don't seem to see the point in keeping him in prison, like to say he's done his time for his crimes. Now, what is interesting, and I don't know if some of you know this already, but it hasn't been mentioned as far as I know in the public domain, but I offer my information that I know about the man himself, a little bit of character breaking down here. If you're going to describe him, he is the same, I would say, as the killer of, what was her name, Lorraine Bowman? No, Samantha Bowman, the Croydon the sad case there with that Dixie geezer. His character's like that, full of himself, cold eyes, a bit of a bully, fancies himself, that kind of stuff. That's the way his character is, right? Now, the information that I offer, sending love, condolences and special prayers, love and light to the mothers who lost their daughters. And one mother rightly says it's diabolical that they should let him out. And in her own words, how fitting this is for many people that have lost people, and how broken-hearted it leaves them, where she says, he can't hurt me. What she's really saying is, I've had the biggest hurt of all by losing my daughter at the hands of a man like you. But what I offer, right, this is absolutely fact. He was in Long Larton, right? He used to spend most of his time down the segregations, which is a block for bad behaviour or good order and discipline, that kind of stuff, to be taken off normal population, and healthcare for long periods of time. Why? Predominantly, right, fact is that he used to tell the authorities that he was hearing voices and was delusional, and that he was suicidal, right? So this has to be in front of the parole board. It has to be. All incidents, when you're removed from normal location and all these things, they come before the parole board when it comes for release. Good behaviour, bad behaviour, that kind of stuff. Daily wing reports, that kind of stuff. So that's absolute facts. Hearing voices and suicidal, right? Delusional, whatever. But yet, never spent a day, as far as I know, in a mental institution, but finds the time and the brains to be able to deceive, yet again, a parole board and say, no, I've learnt the error of my ways. And they put on conditions, tagging, talk about your risk management in the community and attend this course and that course. Come on, right? I'm saying to you, I'm offering those bits. I don't know whether the families know about that side of things. But if you was hearing voices, right, and you're suicidal for whatever reasons, man, for whether you're guilty or whether you feel shame or whatever, it definitely sounds like a cop-out to me, and game playing. Because if you was hearing voices for the horrific crimes that you got convicted of, let me tell you something now, he would have been analysed by clinical psychologists to see if he was suitable for Broadmoor, Rampton mental institutions, etc., etc. We all know that. So you can't tell me that, or a man that was hearing voices albeit 15, 20 years ago into the sentence, or we don't know, maybe we're still hearing them. But I'm not too sure. I can't clarify that. But I know in Long Lartin that was the reasons why he was spending all that time in the segs, and down in the healthcare, right? So you're hearing voices. For one, you can never. How? Oh, no, I'm not hearing voices anymore. I'm all right now, and I'm fit enough to be released. It doesn't wash with me. So I can't stop it, but we can talk about it, and we can highlight this consistent thing where they for 20, 30 years past, we've talked about other serial killers, but like some of you pointed out, they're deemed to be mentally not quite well. And they finish off their time in Broadmoor, Rampton. I still don't believe those should be released, by the way. We know that. But this case in particular, no. This presents a risk to the communities and the public as soon as he's released. He was already released before and got recalled. I can't remember the reason, but we already know that, right? So they're waiting. The MP of Leicester is asking the government, listen, no, please, there's an outcry. This is disrespectful to the families and that kind. There's no way you can commit such crimes in this lifetime of that caliber and be re-released, right? Especially when you've got history for saying you're still hearing voices whilst you're in custody and all that. Manipulation, again, he's fooled them. That's the kind of character that Dixie is as well. And that's what Uncle Yami reports today. So they'll put this video with everything that's coming up on social media, because I worked it all out in recent times. When I do certain videos, they put it next to some of these serial killers and cases and ongoing parole. So it could have an effect, and that is my aim. So special love, condolences, lights and prayers to the families, again, being disrespected by the powers that be. Hopefully bedtime story tonight, if I get in on time. Loads of love to you all.